Welcome to another edition of the Hold the Lane podcast. Sadly, Sharks couldn't join us tonight, but we got a good friend of mine here. Some of you that come from Latam and even Turkey know him. It's Daniel Hume, also known as Exorant. He coached Lost Kings and Besiktas in the past. So how are you doing, my friend? I'm so happy that you could join us in this short notice.
Well, hello. I don't know why you're saying it's sad that Sharks couldn't be here, because this is an opportunity to have me on the podcast. So I see that as a good thing.
Yeah, I see it as a good thing too.
Yeah,
I mean, I wish we could be there as 4 people, but
Yeah,
that's
that
good
would
enough.
be even nicer, right?
Yeah.
And maybe next time.
Yeah, so the next one about like when we can be able to rent the teams from Wildcard that are gonna get shit on Worlds. We're gonna be as 4
Yeah.
just to do it for the fun. But I guess today we're gonna have to stay on the good analysis parts, and also I want to introduce to those that didn't watch the first podcast. On my left side or right side for you on the screen is Hatchy, the coach from Supermassive that played MSI earlier in the split. How are you doing, my friends?
I'm doing fine. I'm happy to be here again. I predicted that these 4 teams will be in playoffs, so now we can talk about who's going to win it.
Yeah, I think like we got very good matchups in terms of storyline, in terms of quality as well. So I think it's maybe even the best possible scenario in my opinion. So to be honest, I'm really glad that we got these 2 matches. For those who didn't watch the last day of Wildcard, we're gonna have INTZ playing Dark Passage for a world spot and Lion against Alvos Nox Luna. And this is actually, in terms of storyline, the best thing that could happen in Brazil. So the Brazilians are happy that INTZ gets a chance to have a to play against Dark Passage again, because like last time they were super salty because this whole incident with the phones and the Baron cost happened, so people were super salty about what was supposed to happen, and they're happy to get at least one time that they are playing at home, so this could be cool. But before we go into the matchups, I want to talk with you about the last 2 days from the wildcard tournament, because we've seen some upsets, we've seen different performances with certain teams, and I want to talk a bit about it. Also go back to our MVP lineup, if there changed anything, and also just recap a bit for those that didn't watch our opinions from the last podcast. And if you didn't check it out, there's a VOD on YouTube, you can check it out, it was really great. But let's talk a bit about the last 2 days of wildcard. Who wants to start?
I'm gonna leave it to Hatchy.
Okay, last 2 days, to be honest, not much action there. I still think that the best game that we've seen so far in the group stage is probably the Dark Passage IMTZ game. I think it was like closest to optimal in terms of how you should play the game, besides the fact that it was a bit slow. So I'm definitely happy that we're gonna see it again. As for the other teams, I'm kind of disappointed that Saigon Jokers didn't actually win a game. I don't know how is it even possible that they qualify for such a big tournament for the 2nd time in a row, and they only got weaker, not stronger, so that's disappointing. Lion got their first loss, which is a pretty huge deal, but I don't think they played that seriously. I think by then they already knew who they're going to face in the semifinals, so they probably just didn't want to show anything. And if they go into the mindset that they can just mess around and play something random, the loss doesn't hurt that much, so it doesn't really hurt their momentum at all, if that's what they actually did. So if they said that they're just going to play it for fun, didn't really change much if they lose or win, so that was like a safe strategy. Quite boring today, to be honest. I don't think anything big happened there.
Well, I was a bit waiting the 2 games I was waiting for was the INTZ against Albus Nox. I was happy to see INTZ got their shit together and managed to beat them. And then I was expecting a bit more serious match from Lion against Albus Nox, but I guess the Lion guys just wanted to have a nice game, not too serious. Nothing would have changed anyway in the standings. So otherwise, yeah, pretty boring.
But I think by now we can safely say that the strongest teams. The strongest team is INTZ. I don't really think we can make an argument that they're not, even though they didn't finish first. Because the last 3 days that they played, they actually did look somewhat solid and collected, and it looked like they have a game plan.
Yeah.
But I guess we're gonna talk about it more later.
Yeah.
And as for MVPs, I mean, I think it's the same.
Like, let's talk a bit about this INTZ performance, because we're gonna get a bit closer to a bit more in detail into the next section when we talk about the matchup. But actually, Hatchy, you had the opportunity to scrim them, and you mentioned last podcast that you were expecting something similar. You tweeted about that as well. What do you think about this INTZ performance the last 2 days?
So basically, it was just funny to me because right after the podcast, the next day, INTZ just plays exactly how I said in the podcast. So I was like, oh, maybe somebody's watching. No, but in all seriousness, it wasn't about that. I think they just realized that they have to go back to like playing as a team, because in first days we saw Ints just playing for the lanes too much. They didn't do much like plays as a team, and they changed it in the end. They changed it, like they started in the Dark Passage match. I think that's fine, but also the last 3 games that they played were really one-dimensional. They didn't really show anything different than just going bottom all the time, and there are strategies to counter that. So if Dark Passage does like a good research on it, like you can actually see some patterns as to what they want to do early game, because it's really clear. Now it's gonna be all about coming up with like a counter strategy for Dark Passage. So
yeah, but we also forgot something very important for the last 2 days about Dark Passage. They actually subbed their mid laner, right?
Yeah, right.
So they got my boy Immortoro playing instead of Koskyu.
yes,
That's a nice thing, I think. That's a nice thing, because
Actually, you Hachi mentioned this guy had some potential. He was talented. How do you think, like, from his performance at Wildcard compared to the ones you see in nationally?
Dark Passage was kind of outspoken about the fact that Immortoro just choked in the first game that he played because he didn't do anything. He had like 2 times less damage than Bart in the enemy team, so he didn't actually hit anyone. But his next
it is
2 games,
Bart, though.
Yeah, but still, he was playing Cassiopeia. Okay, it's not like low damage mid laner, right? So the case is that was just the first match, though. Like the other 2 matches that he played were really, really good. So that was nice. He's definitely starting to live up to the expectations and to the hype in Turkey, because for 2 splits already people are saying that he's like the best mid laner in Turkey, but he was on a bad team. So I think he has the confidence right now and he has the momentum going into the playoffs. And I actually think he can be a tough matchup for the INTZ mid laner, because if he's gonna play as confidently as he did in the last games, even though he still did some mistakes, like with when he was playing Lissandra, I didn't quite understand how to use the champion late game, but he definitely has mechanics, and it looks like he has confidence now to play well. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think he's doing a good job now.
But I think that's something that INTZ got going for them too. I think they also have the confidence right now, and I think what changed most about them is that they actually realized, guys, we're not actually playing like INTZ. We're not playing at all as we are used to play, and they got their shit together. They started to play like INTZ played the whole freaking split, right? And I think they're full of confidence right now. And yeah, Dark Passage is a good team, but we have to take into account the fact that they haven't played the whole split with their mid laner and their jungle.
And
right?
their coach and their support.
And their coach and their support. So you see, it's a mix of all things, right? So it's like patching up the team just before a huge thing. I don't know. No, if they lose the first game to INTZ and INTZ beats them really bad in the first game, I don't think they stand a chance to come back into that series. So I think a lot of momentum can be gained in the first game for both teams, either INTZ or Dark Passage. But I think it's more for Dark Passage, because INTZ, I think, do have the strength to make a comeback, even from 0-2, to just reverse sweep.
How much experience do both teams have in a best of 5 scenario? Like, the thing for INTZ is that in Brazil, this was actually the first year for a while that they got very very good competition. Like there were from all best of fives they played in, only two that they got to play more than 3 games, and was this year's Springs final against Kate Stars, and the semifinals against Spain. Everything else was more like a 3-0, and forgot to mention the finals against CNB. The split was also a 3-1. So everything else was like either a shitstorm or a shit stomp, basically, by either of one teams. So
Yep, I still remember the clean 3-0 against Hell Random. I mean 0-3.
yeah.
Yeah, everyone does.
So basically, how could you think like Dark Passage coming into this best of 5 matchup? Because I mean, like, they have the advantage. They at least have a sub to sub in. INTZ doesn't have a sub like that in that terms. In Brazil, subs are still like, yeah, if this guy really can't play, we have a sub signed in, so we can at least play the day. But they don't play around with strategies and subbing in between matches.
I don't think Dark Passage will actually actively use the sub. They didn't even have enough time to practice with 5 players. So
Yeah.
like, what about playing with 6 players then? I think they will decide on one mid laner. It's probably gonna be Toru because he had good performance. So I don't really think they're gonna change it. As for how they have to approach this series, I think INTZ is a heavy favorite going into a series by like pretty much everyone because they are just such a strong team. So what Dark Passage needs to do is they need to create this underdog mentality when they are going to the match without any big expectations and without like the pressure of having to win the series. And if they have that, they kind of had the same when they played against us in the finals, when everybody said that we're just gonna win. And that's the mentality that Dark Passage can use. They have shown it in the past. If there is no expectation and they can play like they have nothing to lose, they will just be aggressive, then I think they can win. Okay. Now, interesting thing, if we are already talking about this series, INTZ is actually having a really hard time getting the first turret, okay? They are pretty slow when it comes to this. They're trying to get some plays down bottom lane. They know how to play when they already take the turret, but they're quite slow still. So I would say that, like for example, even the game against Dark Passage that they played in the group stage, they did get the first turret. No, they did get a first successful gank in the bottom lane when they got the kills, but it took them 10 minutes to do anything on the map. Like I did this rewatch on the stream for 10 minutes. They didn't do anything to move closer to win a game. Okay, so INTZ is actually playing really slow games. So in terms of like the early game snowball, they can afford to do much more, but they didn't do it in the group stage. It doesn't actually look to me like a very confident team. I think they are still looking for it. They are still hesitating a bit. So what Dark Passage has to do, they have to be playing with no regrets, not being afraid at all, just playing like they have nothing to lose and just smash the early game. Okay, they have to be super aggressive. Kirei has to change from this counter jungling style to like heavy ganking style, because I think if they get the early advantages and they will be the ones starting to take the turrets, it can be actually harder for INTZ to win the game. But if they will play a slow game when like they don't go for any plays and they are very reactive, then Int will just like slowly take everything away from them. So as for the stylistic matchup, I think if INTZ doesn't fix it and they will play like really slowly again, and Dark Passage will play a very aggressive early game with a lot of like emphasis on getting the early turrets, then they can actually get the win. Because I think INTZ in the history was always a very emotional team, at least in my eyes. That like if they lose the momentum or like if something really bad happens that they didn't predict, like they're gonna die 2 times bot lane and like mid laner will die, their motivation kind of goes to shit. They are not actually a strong team mentally, okay? So that's what Dark Passage has to do. They have to go into the series, play super aggressive early game, and try to get the advantages there.
What's your take on the matchup, Daniel?
Yeah, probably it has, the whole INTZ against Dark Passage. I think it's on the shoulders of Revolta and Kirei, actually. And it depends probably a lot on which one of them gets the upper hand. So, yeah, Kirei, it's a pretty good jungler, right? So, who knows? I still think INTZ as a team, I mean, at least what they showed in the last few days, they got stronger mentally. At least that's what it seems, and probably have the best chances to get this series.
What I
But we'll
expect.
see.
Oh, go ahead. What I expect from this matchup is INTZ in the last 3 games, when they started to play as a team, they always had the same strategy of going bot lane and pressuring bot lane really hard. But I don't think that INTZ bot lane is playing well. Even if they get a lot of ganks in the bottom lane, they still fall behind in CS. They don't really pay much attention to the basics. I think Mikau is like very sloppy in terms like he's missing a lot of free CS that he shouldn't miss, which actually matters a lot. So these kind of stuff, the whole series will probably be decided in the bottom lane for me, because INTZ will play bot lane again, almost guaranteed that they will not switch to like split push top. Okay, they will probably play the bot lane again because that's what worked for them in 3 games, and that's what gave them the momentum back. So what DrPuppet has to do, like stylistically, specifically in the game, is that they have to have a plan on how to stop the utility mid laners with ability to shove and roam. That's what INTZ is doing. And they have to be playing bot side too, so they have to have a proper picks. I expect the Gangplank to be banned from DrPuppet all the time. I mean, they will ban it against Young, and they will maybe try to pick Shen, which would be a great takeaway, because that takes away a lot from what INTZ wants to do. And then they have to put the highest priority out of all picks on a good mid lane matchup, so that INTZ can't just shove and go to the river for free. So DrPuppet has to put all the emphasis on getting the good counter pick in the mid lane, so that he can pressure the lane naturally. And the good jungle matchup is like the second priority to me. Doesn't really matter if it's gonna be. I would prefer to see Gragas there, because Gragas is gonna do fine into Rek'Sai. And then they can win the 2v2s, and if they can pressure mid lane to get the vision in the bot side of the map, and then they can play bot side, then INTZ strategy kind of falls through, because I believe they will bet on it. They will try to do this again with a stronger matchup for mid in Dark Passage, and stronger jungle matchup would take these tools away from INTZ, and that would be, in my opinion, the best takeaway and the best strategy going into the INTZ match. If I was there, that would be exactly what I would be doing. So.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen, I think. But we'll see how they think when the match starts.
So let's break it down a bit. We already came across like most of the playstyle, most of the plan going in. But let's talk a bit about the players itself and the matchups, because I think in terms of the wildcard terms, like for this wildcard, we have some storylines, but also just very good high-level matchups coming into this into this match. And the first one that I want to talk about is the top lane matchup, Young against Elwind. And I think like both top laners have been playing a good tournament so far. Young has been like the backbone for NTZ, like in every game. The guy like you can even say like saving their asses sometimes. And
well, we can say the same thing about Elwind, right?
Yeah, you can say the same.
Yeah.
And so let's talk a bit about those players, because like from my experience, Young is like was normally like the backbone in terms, I'm gonna play what my team needs, I'm gonna farm, I'm gonna pressure when I can, and when I can't, I'm just gonna sit back, farm, stay passive. He was like always this passive farm top laner, nothing shiny. He was one of the best Brazil, simply because he was one that did less mistakes than others and played clean, rather than trying to make flashy plays and trying to be the next Mylon and carrying the team by being simply better than the opponent. But he was never like this huge factor in the team, except for in team fights. But I think like since he came back from the boot camp, he grew a lot. Like I think this tournament is showing a lot how he improved as a player, and he has not been constantly winning lanes, but also he improved in terms of pressuring the map over throughout the game, and even got better in team fights. Hatchy, since you had direct contact with both players, who do you think like has a stylistic advantage, like individual advantage coming into this match?
Okay, so now I told you what I think DrPuppet has to do to win. The issue is that throughout this tournament they much rather prefer to have Elwind on a split pusher, right? which I think would be a bad strategy, because even though Elwind really loves Fiora, loves Irelia, like he did show in the tournament, I don't think Young is the player that is like bad enough to get wrecked in lane like some of the other people did. The case is Young is a smart player. That's the best thing about Young. Like if he has a shitty matchup and he knows that the enemy has to win through the split push, he's just not gonna fight him. He's not gonna take risks. He's not gonna try to solo kill him. He's not gonna overstep and get killed. So that would be really hard for Dark Passage to abuse the split push strategy. So Elwind, he had a great Shen game, so I really hope that the Shen will be, for me, the biggest pick of this series. I expect Gangplank to be banned, and then Shen is like gonna make it or break it. Whoever gets Shen is gonna have huge advantage, because stylistically it's super important for both of these teams to play Shen. Now, what I think Elwind tends to take many more risks than Young does, because I think Elwind has a great tournament so far, and so far he's the best top laner in this tournament. But if there is someone who can like overthrow him and have a better like overall performance on the tournament, it's definitely Young out of all people. So that's a very hypey matchup for me, because I think there is like it's gonna be an important matchup. But I really think it's gonna come down to who's gonna get Shen, who's gonna get these global top laners. I don't think either of the teams should play around the top lane. I don't think the split push is gonna be a big deal there. It's gonna be about who can play better for the team. The case is Elwind impressed me with like being able to step up when his team played like shit in quite some games. And if it wasn't for Elwind, Dark Passage wouldn't be in semifinals. So he definitely has the momentum going into the match, but I really don't think it's gonna be easy for him, because Young is just a smart player and he's not gonna let him get so ahead as he did in the other games.
Well, if you look at Elwind, I mean, Elwind is a carry top laner, right? He's the guy that just likes to get a strong champion like Fiora, for example, and just wreck people, right? That's why he has so many kills so far in this tournament. If you look at Young, he doesn't have as many kills, but he does have more kill participation, right? So he's a team player. He's someone that's just like Hatchy was saying, right? He can just get a strong champion in the top lane that has no kill pressure and just stay there, right? Just stay there and hold your ground, get to your power spikes, and then you just join the team and fight as a unit. So it will be interesting to see if Shen will be a priority pick, because as so far in this tournament, people don't know what the meta is. It seems, they don't really get these strong picks like Shen, for example. So we'll see.
But if there is a team that knows what the meta is, it's definitely INTZ.
Yeah.
The issue
I'm not
is,
talking about INTZ necessarily.
And the difference is in that scenario that like we saw it earlier. INTZ was the first team that didn't ban Gnar and Gangplank into Elwind, rightfully so.
Yeah.
And it made Dark Passage ban both of these champions because they don't play these champions, okay? So that's gonna be a huge problem for Dark Passage if INTZ will continue doing that. I think, Elwind played some Gnar and he played some Gangplank, and what he has to do right now is he has to like spam these champions in the scrims, because if Dark Passage will be forced to ban Gangplank and GP, Gangplank and Gnar, they are gonna have huge issues, because the thing about Young is he has a very solid champion pool. Like if even Elwind gets like the Shen that he wants, let's say, he's not gonna have any issues picking like GP or Gnar. So in that aspect, Elwind still has some work to do, because they just can't afford to like have the two top lane bans in the semifinals. I think that's the strategy that INTZ can really abuse. So Elwind really needs to work on the champion pool to pick up these two champions that are absolutely huge in the current meta.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he has the time to do it though.
But he played some of them. It's just not his. He doesn't default to these champions, but he did play some of them. Like he has to at least have the ability to pick it on a decent level to deny it, because the game is still gonna be on like about the bot lane, in my opinion, and everything that happens in the bot lane. He just needs to have the ability to play it and like enough confidence to play it. Like it's just really needed so that they don't have to ban them every time, and that they are not.
Basically, in this regard, he should be able to at least pick up GP, because that's something that that INTZ would definitely go for. They showed already that even though like they pick up a Gnar, they would also pick the GP into it. They would take the weaker lane matchup just to have the global pressure with it. So I think like in terms of priority, INTZ has prioritized the last few games more Gnar, since Young was having such a better performance on it, and they preferred like a more rotation team fight pickoff style rather than the having like a GP or Shen on top. Even though they showed the whole tournament already games on all three champions, so I think like if Elwin is able to at least pick up the GP, they could live with the Gnar ban throughout the series actually.
I think he's more likely to pick up Gnar than GP. I mean, GP actually requires so fucking much time to play him well. And Elwin, I don't know, in my eyes at least, he's not like a GP player. I think he could play Gnar more likely, but GP, I think that's too big of a challenge for him right now.
So let's talk a bit about the scenario. If they play the mind game, game one, and leave all three open, what do you think like both teams would prioritize?
I think there should still be priority on the top laner with the global pressure. I mean, Young, if GP is open, Young will just pick it. Like, it's a no-brainer. Young is a fucking amazing GP. Like, he's so good on GP. If DrPuppet leaves GP open, they're basically, like, just asking, just come and wreck me, bro. Like, Brazil, there is your time. Just come and wreck me, bro. That's pretty much it. You can't leave GP open against Young if you want to win the game.
Yeah, that's about it.
Unless they will try to like completely like mix it up and like get him GP and then pick Irelia and like some ganking like Elise whatever and just go top lane and like camp top lane super hard and hope they can win before 20 with like Irelia.
I don't think you can do that against Young.
Yeah, I don't think you can do it against INTZ, but judging from the fact
it wouldn't be a good strategy from them.
Yeah, but judging from the fact that Elwin actually likes the split pusher, I think it's not unreasonable to say that like we can actually see it throughout the whole series. If they can't match them on the bot lane,
was like a pick that a lot of top laners used against GP, right? When the new GP started, so. It might be that Elwin says, yeah, don't worry, let's let him have the GP. I can take the Fiora and then I can just win the game for us. Which could happen, because he's a really good Fiora player, but I don't think it will, especially against Young.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why I said that that's why I think that Shen will be the biggest pick. I think GP will be banned and Shen will be the biggest pick. Because you just have to play for bot lane in that matchup.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? So as long as most of the early game action will take place in the bot lane, right? Then it's nice to have champions like GP and Shen, right? Because once you reach level 6, you're able to impact across the map really, really hard. And probably Dark Passage will ban both of them maybe, and just leave the Gnar open, and maybe even pick the Gnar if Elwin, likes it or gets good at it.
So I want to add to that matchup talk. Another influence and very important impact on this game and also on the top lane matchup is the jungle matchup, because like we have probably in this tournament 2 of the 3 best junglers in this whole tournament facing it against each other in this match. We have Revolt against Kirei, both fairly experienced players. Kirei even LCS experience. How do you guys think they'll match up against each other? Who's better? Which champion pools could be more fitting to the team in this coming match, and who has been performed better throughout this tournament? Do you like to start, Daniel?
Well, I think both of them kind of struggled a bit, but then they had good games. It's hard to say. Okay, the thing with Revolta is, and I was talking to you before the tournament started. With Revolta, it's all about how strong he is mentally, yes. Right? Well, how does he feel that day, right, or that period of time? He seemed to be struggling, especially after the loss to Lion, which I don't think they expected. I don't think anyone expected them to lose to Lion Gaming. But he seems to be back. He seems to be back to his usual form. So, Kirei is a great player, right? He's a great jungler. He's one of the best. But we also have to take the team into account here. And I think Revolta has a team around him that he's been with for a long time. The synergies are there. For Kirei, not as much. Right, and I think that's a huge impact in these games. and probably Volta will have a better performance in these games than Kirei will. And if he picks something like Rek'Sai or Gragas, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter which one of them he takes. I don't think there will be jungle bans. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also don't think that the teams can afford to ban junglers in this series.
Yeah.
The case is, I mean, maybe there will be a least ban against Kirei, but I don't really think it's needed. Another thing is Revolta is probably currently in this tournament the most inconsistent player for Ins, because he either looked amazing or just really bad, and he was just off of his game, you know. And to be honest, both Kirei and Revolta are kind of reliant on the momentum, okay? So if Kirei gets a good gank off, he can play really, really well, but like if it's gonna be Revolta like ganking for the first blood, like he's gonna have all the momentum and he's just gonna snowball the game, he's gonna be in the right places on the map. So for both of them, the first gank is really gonna make it or break it, as funny as it sounds. Like they are not the kind of players that we know for like not giving a shit if enemy gets ahead and just playing amazing anyways, right? It's not like sometimes Odi has these kind of games when like enemy can start well, but he's still gonna do his shit. So that's what I like Odi for, and that's why I think he's the best compared to the other two. But yeah, it's really gonna make it or break it, like whoever gets the first successful gank off. Because in some of the games we saw both of them being completely absent in the game if they just start falling behind and they can't get the early gank off. So that would be it. As for Kirei, I mean, Revolta has more synergy with the team. Yes, I agree with all of that. Kirei and his team, that's a much bigger issue, because right now I know that he doesn't communicate well with the laners, and it doesn't really look impressive when I can see, like, that's something that Turkish fans don't understand, and they just flame Kirei like he's the worst jungler they've ever seen. But I can, like, the jungler sets up his pathing thinking like, I'm gonna do these free camps, right, and I'm gonna go there. The issue is that, like, I sometimes can see this idea, and I can see, like, that the enemy, like, for example, I can see that he's being called to the top lane because the enemy is, like, half HP and pushing, and he can pack them up. So he does the jungle pathing to go to the top lane, but by the time that he finishes the top side jungle and he's near the top, Elwind already pushed the wave, and, like, they have to go for a dive that would be risky because they don't know where the jungler is. So the big thing to fix for Kirei and Dark Passage is better communication with the laners as to like what Kirei is gonna do and the team setting him up for the ganks. I think that's a big problem as to why Kirei doesn't look good in his team, is that I really don't think that the laners set up stuff for him. Like in most games we see Kirei being good at counter ganking because like that's the only moment he can shine, when he can actually come when the fight is starting. Because if Dark Passage has to set up something on their own, it's actually insanely hard because nobody's like helping him set it up. So there is not much teamwork when it comes to this, and that's the big thing that they have to put emphasis on in scrims throughout this week. Because yeah, that's the issue for me. Kirei can't do many early plays if he doesn't have good communication with the laners that can't set up the plays for him. Like,
well, the good thing is they have some time to try to fix it at least, which is nice.
And I can guarantee you that they are well aware of the issue, because like I'm talking to them too, so I think they know what's up. So they will work on it.
Yeah, probably.
So one thing that I think is interesting in this matchup, since you mentioned like the problems of Kirei having to set up plays for him, but he has at least shined in the counter gank scenarios. This could be actually make the matchup even more interesting, because INTZ plays a style where they shove all lanes, so Revolta can get aggressive in the jungle and start making his play or force the enemy jungler out. They like in the games they won, at least they would always try to push all three lanes, so Talkers and Revolta could invade the enemy jungle and start pressuring the jungler at crucial times, when maybe like with spawn of camps and stuff like that. But as well, on the games they lost, Revolta struggled to do anything when their bot lane and their mid lane weren't really able to set up some pressure. Do you think like this could be either something that Kirei can adapt to, like adapt to playing only this counter gank style to answer what INTZ usually tries to play, or do you think like it would be a more beneficent idea for Kirei to try to break like the mid and bot lane pressure, so Revolta can't do his thing anymore?
Okay, I really want to talk about it because I rewatched the game on stream between DP and Ints, and we saw exactly what you are talking about. The issue was what Ints had in the bot lane was Ashe Bard, super dominant lane. Bard, one of the strongest early game champions. Ashe, one of the strongest early game champions. What DP had was Sivir and Braum. Okay, so by default in this matchup, you're not gonna be shoving the lane, even though you have Sivir, you have Braum, so you're gonna get pushed in, you're gonna get a bit zoned. And then what Revolta did is he could just go into the jungle like level 2, level 3, and get the invade on the blue buff, and then Kirei kind of struggled because even though Rogu from Dark Passage came to the jungle, he was still level 1, so he was actually missing out on a lot of experience, and then Kirei tried to secure the blue buff anyways when he was invaded, and he had to flash out on Gragas, and then he didn't have flash for quite some minutes, and he couldn't do any flashy plays, he couldn't get any ganks off because he just didn't have a summoner and he was afraid, so that's something that, as long as Dark Passage watches their own games, which I believe they do, they will prevent it by just picking a better bot lane matchup in which they will not get pushed in so early. And that's I don't think it's a big deal for DP. I think they can pick some ranged champions. Rogu likes to play some, for example, even Nami. I think Rogu likes to play Nami. He played it in the finals. He played it in this tournament. I personally like the pick because it's pretty dominant in lane. All the bot lane needs to do is just make sure that they don't get the shit pushed together. And then I think Kirei has to focus on ganking mid lane so that talkers can't go to the river for free anymore like he did in the last match. Because whenever he did, Dark Passage was super scared. They had to back off in the bot lane. Toru couldn't go to the river because he didn't have vision. And INTZ just dominated the whole bot side jungle with wards and the river with wards, and there was nothing they could do, and they could just play reactive and they could just hope for the counter ganks. That's not the way to go. They need to change it. Better mid lane matchup again for Dark Passage is crucial, and two ranged supports in the bot lane that can at least match the shove, so they are not getting pushed to the turret already from the early levels.
Do you have something to add, Daniel?
I think he's pretty on point with the analysis. But I think, anyway, the biggest factor will be how they feel before the games. What's their psychological form, so to speak. If they're in shape, I think we can have really great games. I hope it goes to 5. I don't think it will.
I don't think it will. I don't think there is any way this series goes to 5 games unless Dark Passage will start winning 2-0.
I just said I would like to see 5 games from them, but slim chances of that. Probably the first game will be the best one.
I think it's a higher priority that Dark Passage takes off game 1 and 2 than actually INTZ reverse sweeping. Brazilian teams never reverse sweep. Never.
I mean, there's a first time for everything, right? And this might be it.
Then the Brazilian fans could be finally happy that they didn't choke and they reversed sweat for the first time in the history. But I don't know. I would say it's possible if I would
sweep in relegations, and that's the thing.
I would say it would be possible if INTZ would play super good whole tournament, but they just recently picked it up, okay, and they feel when they are starting to play bad, and I feel like if they will feel like that's another of these bad days that always made them lose, I don't think they will have enough mental strength to overcome it. I would love to be wrong, because even though I'm representing the Turkish regions and I would like to Dark Passage to go to Worlds, I still think INTZ should go because they have the highest chance to get wins because they understand the game best, and if we want wildcard regions to do good, INTZ has to go to Worlds. But I still don't think that mentally they are strong enough to be able to have this scenario when they just make an amazing comeback. I think if they will feel after 2 games, they lost 2 games, and they will be like, oh, it's just another of these days, it's happening all over again, it's what Hard Random did to us last time, I think shit's just gonna go down. So I really don't think there's gonna be 5 games.
So let's go to
I think it's a 3-0, either way. It's either INTZ wins 3-0 or Dark Passage wins 3-0.
3-0, 3-1.
It's more possible, I think
a 3-1 has a 15% chance of happening, and I still think it's 85% chances it's a 3-0 either way.
I think it's gonna be 3-1 INTZ.
Let's talk a bit about the men's behind the teams, because in this scenario, we all played important finals, we all played here important matches, best of 5s, and team preparation is already super concentrated, everybody's nervous, and thinking about you're playing like a best of 5 and you could go to Worlds, and players are already shaky in terms of emotions. They are not the best at handling pressure, but this could like be that one last shot going to Worlds. What can like the coaches do for this game? Because I think we had a bit more inconsistent plays in games from both teams that I think nobody was expecting to be that shaky in terms of a mental issue. We expected at least from Dark Passage to come in a bit less synergized since they only got together a few days before. But what can we expect from the coaches coming into this game? Like, what can they prepare? What they can do to maybe be able to get their shit together, basically?
I think they have to stock up on painkillers, both of them. It will help throughout this series. But otherwise, it kind of depends on how the players are. Because, what you want to do is you want to prepare the players, right? They have to be the ones that aren't shaky on match day. And for me, it's very hard to tell you exactly what they're going to do because it's very subjective and it depends so much upon the personality of each player.
Hatchy, how many support staff members do they have in Brazil right now? Do you know that?
In Brazil, I have no clue.
Like, I mean
the coach
Dark Passage
there,
in Brazil.
right?
Oh, their passage in Brazil. I think it's only their coach and their manager. I don't think they have anyone else. But the thing about Lelouch, what he has to do is exactly what he did in the finals when he played against us, okay? Everybody was saying that we're going to win the match. Even Lelouch was saying that, probably you're going to win because you're a better team. So, yeah, And that's the mindset that they created as a team, which was really good for them because if you don't have this pressure that you have to perform, you have to get Worlds, you have to win this match because it's the best matchup for you. No, that's not the story for them. For them, it's like, it's the hardest matchup we can have. We just made the roster changes. Nobody expects us to win. If they go with this mindset and they use this underdog mentality to just, guys, we have nothing to lose. Like, if we lose, let's just at least just play aggro, just go for the gang, just do your best, just test your limits, just go ham. If this works out, they can win, and that's the right mindset, and that's the only mindset that, in my opinion, Dark Passage should have. This is like the easy story because I know that Lelouch can do it, and like he can get his players in this mindset, and they feel comfortable in this mindset. Of course, it's easier to play if you don't have pressure. Now, INTZ, it's much more difficult because INTZ has to face these big expectations for quite some time now, and they've shown that they don't always handle it well. Okay. Going into this tournament even, and to the previous tournament, and to the previous tournament, when INTZ is playing, they are always the fan favorites. They always have the pressure. They have to win. Now people will say they have the best matchup they could ask for. They just have to stomp the series. Like, they have to finally get to Worlds. They have to stop choking. They have to play well. That's much more difficult, and it's gonna be to Abaxel to like explain that all these things ultimately don't matter. They have to play INTZ style, and on this given day, if it's going to be enough, it should be enough. If it's going to be enough, it's going to work out. And don't overthink the situation. Don't think that all the Brazilian lives and hopes are laying down in your hands and everybody's going to cry and kill you if you lose the game.
Well, but
That's
this is
the
a
issue.
cultural thing, I mean, this is Brazil in a way. Those expectations are set upon them by the fans throughout the whole year, right? So the moment INTZ starts a new split and they're doing well and they're number one, everybody just piles it up on them and says,
yes,
yeah,
I know, and I totally understand it, and I'm not arguing, with the fact that it's happening, and it is happening, it should be happening. The issue is it can't get to players' heads. They can't feel this pressure. They can't be thinking about it.
I think they should have a week where they don't go to any kind of social media. They don't visit any
Yes.
forums or anything like that.
Yes.
No, just go there. Seven days where you just train in your gaming house. You have everyone there. All your support staff is there. They didn't need to fly to that country. Just train as you used to do. don't pay any attention to social media, and then just go to game day, and that's it. I think that's the way they should handle all this thing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, the pressure from the Brazilian fans, and everyone knows, right?
Yeah.
The Brazilian fans can be fanatical, right? They
Not only
will
can.
sour everything.
But what I mean is, Abaxel needs to do his best so that everything that they talk about and think about is how to play the game as INTZ, and not about how important of a moment it is, how important it is for them to do well, how important it is for them to go to well. They just shouldn't talk about it, they shouldn't think about it. That's Abaxel's job, but that's what we are talking about. They only have to talk about, we are INTZ, we play the game like this, we're gonna play like this. That's all that matters. All the factors outside of the game, they have to get them out of their minds.
Yeah. Hopefully he will be able to do that. And I think that the biggest one he has to work on is Revolta. He's for me, he's the guy that's been shaky the most out of that team. I mean, they all have their flaws when it comes to not handling pressure, but I think Revolta is by far the worst.
Actually, it's Stalkers in terms of mental issues.
I mean, for me, from what...
Yeah, I mean, I can understand Exorant here because it just feels like he's unstable.
Yeah.
It just feels like he has either godlike game or terrible game, and that's the case. It's just INTZ needs to make sure that it's not gonna be like they wake up at Saturday or Sunday or wherever they play, and Revolta says, "I feel like shit today," and then it's over. It can't be like this. That's the case.
Yeah, I understand. So before we close out this section and we go to analyze the other matchup, last predictions. I need numbers, my friends.
Well, we still didn't talk about mid and bot matchups.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yes, of course. Let's talk about it.
All right, let's go. Let's go for it. If you're up to, I'm up for it. Okay. So what do you prefer first? Want to talk? What you said the bot lane is most.
I mean, we
important,
don't even know who's gonna play mid for.
It's gonna be Toru.
It's
gonna be Toru.
Let's talk about the mid lane matchup first, since we all agreed that the bot lane will be the most important part of this matchup between INTZ and Dark Passage. So let's talk a bit about the Talkers into Cosq or Immortal matchup.
I'm not gonna talk about the into Cosq because I think there's 5% chance.
That's an easy win for INTZ.
Yeah, I mean they would be we just shit the bed with Cosq, had some shaky performances. Now we won with Toru, but we're gonna play Cosq again. There is no way. So again about Toru, Talkers, I was never really impressed with his playstyle, but Talkers, the good thing about him is that in my eyes, he's not a carry, he's a role player. So he will do whatever INTZ needs him to do. And now, I kind of feels like when you watch the game and you see the champion that Talkers have, it's always the champion that complement the whole team comp. Okay, so if he has Karma, you can expect that he's gonna be trying to shove the mid lane and he's gonna go to roam to the side lanes, right? And that's the thing that Dark Passage needs to remember about when they will be seeing INTZ draft, because Talkers is a role player and he's gonna have a champion with a specific role. And now depending on what kind of champion it's going to be, if it's gonna be Lissandra flanking potential, if it's gonna be Cassio for kiting back and turning around the fight, if it's gonna be Karma for shoving and roaming to the bottom, if it's gonna be Talia for the same shoving and roaming to the bottom, that's gonna be very important for them to have a, first of all, counter pick preferably, or at least a good matchup where they can pressure Talkers, so he can't do his role, because if he can't do his role and he's forced to do something else, he's just not going to look good because he's not a great player. So you need to realize what they want to do, what is the Talker's role, and need to pick a champion that can pressure him, and then try to take these tools away from him and make it impossible for Talkers to play for the team, because he's not amazing as he is individually, he's amazing when he plays for his team. So you need to make sure that Talkers can't do that, simple as it is. So as for Toru, I think he has a pretty wide champion pool. He was playing utility mages. He was playing powerful mages in general. Lissandra games were pretty good. He played some assassins in the past. He played Syndra and the League on a very good level. He played LeBlanc. So he has the tools. He has the champion pool to pick a counter pick. So Dark Passage needs to make sure that Toru practices literally everything, so that no matter what Talkers plays, they have a champion to counter it with. and then just shut down Toker so he can't play for the team. So that's my opinion on the mid lane.
Yeah, the difference between them is that actually Immortoro can actually carry the game.
Yeah.
No, he has that potential in him, and if he gets a great matchup in the mid lane, you can be damn sure he's going to abuse it. Talkers, on the other hand, I mean, yeah, he does play a bit more of a supportive role with his champions. Something that can do some things for the team. He's not really playing for the laning phase, but he's not stupid, right?
Okay.
He's not a stupid guy. So even if Immortoro will try to just stomp him in lane, it won't be that easy.
Okay, I want to add some stats to this matchup because I think since we have such different styles, I want to at least see what the numbers says us about both players' impact in their teams. In terms of Talkers, he played 7 games. He has a KDA throughout these games from 6.4 and a kill participation of 69.3. And he has a CS per minute from 8.1. Comparing this to Immortoro, he played 3 games. He has a KDA from 2.5, a kill participation from 43.5%, and a CS per minute from 8.4. So, looking from the stats, in terms of KDA, I think the first game from Immortoro literally killed his KDA. So I would need to take a look real quick on how well did he do in the other 2 games.
But still, if you look at them, okay, so Immortoro has 3 games played, right? And Talkers has 7.
Yeah.
And still, Immortoro has 16 kills, okay, and Talkers has 23.
Yeah.
Right, so that in itself
that's
it just
a good factor.
screams at you, right? That Immortoro just wants to play the lane, he wants to kill the other guy, he wants to carry the games. That's his play style. That's what he likes to do.
And then if you go to the kill participation, you can again see that Talkers play much more for the team, and Toro just plays to carry the game, like for himself. That's just exactly what we said.
So that's exactly what we were saying before. So the stats just mesh into what we were saying about them, and that's how they will both try to play. And the thing is, if Immortoro gets the upper hand in lane, if he manages to kill, like in a 1v1 scenario, Talkers, that lane is lost for INTZ, and I don't think. Now, depending on one champion he will have, but if he will have a champion like Karma in the mid lane, it will be pretty tough for Talkers to impact other lanes if Immortoro manages to kill him in lane.
It's not even about killing him, it's just to make sure that he doesn't roam and he doesn't carry other lanes.
Oh, but the thing is, if he manages to kill him once, he'll get an advantage in lane that will translate into item, will translate into pushing power, right? I mean, most of the champions now, they have really good wave clear, most of them. So it will be really hard for Talkers to just do as you said, right? Just shove the wave into Immortoro and then just go river, right? He won't be able to do that.
I agree.
So, and also, let's take a quick look into the preferences each team has laid on in terms of champions for this both players. INTZ has a very a huge focus on Karma as a mid laner throughout this tournament. And I think this adds to the style they want to play. Like Talkers just shoving up and coming with the team to go bot lane, while we have seen also Immortoro playing things like Cassiopeia and Lissandra, even to carry or just to make plays. What's your take about both players' champion pools coming to this match?
I mean, as I said earlier, Toro doesn't have issues with the champion pool. The case is he only played few champions, first of all, because there was little amount of games. Second of all, that he had little amount of practice time because he just got, he didn't practice from the team from the start, as far as I know. And he was on a break before the IWCQ started because he got relegated in Turkey, right? So he wasn't actually practicing the game. But in general, the bigger picture, and as much as I know about the player, he can play all different styles. And he can play tons of champions. I don't really think it's gonna be a big deal for him. As for Tokers, I don't really know what kind of champion pool, how deep it is, but he's just a role player. He's just gonna pick the champion for the team comp, like ultimately whatever they need to make their team comp stronger.
To be honest, like he doesn't have like a very signature champion in Brazil, because like
Yeah,
he was
that's
the
what I
guy
mean.
that would play everything. I think the champion that he most played was his Azir, but Azir is not really a good pick right now.
Yeah.
Or his Lulu that also
Fortunately
came
for
up,
everyone.
up a lot. So like these two champions are all of the meta right now. So basically he would just stick to what his team wants him to play in the end. But I think like in terms of champions, we didn't see much from Talkers, even though we had more games of him. Like we seen a Vladimir, we seen a Karma. What else?
We saw a Talia from him.
Atalia. So actually, and we saw the Mozart. So far, nothing really outstanding. Like.
Well, I think actually if they can make the Talia work, that would be a huge thing for them, right? For Talkers to have Talia in the mid lane, because if they get their hands on either Shen or GP in the top lane and Talia mid, they can make it work once they're level 6. They can impact the bot lane really, really hard.
Dude,
but
in
that game with Talia it didn't go that well, and he was playing a really bad Talia.
In scrims with like Ian's Talkers bronze on Talia from level 3, that's the case. I think if Talkers will play Talia again, then Dark Passage has to go for aggressive jungler and like something like LeBlanc and just camp the shit out of him, because against Talia, you just can't let her lane for free. She's gonna be pushing, she's gonna be shoving the lane because she wants to roam, and if that's the case, just give him assassin, like even Syndra, whatever. Like just don't leave this lane alone. Give anything with the kill potential and just camp mid lane.
In that game they lost with Talia, the counter pick for the mid lane was actually Echo, and I think
that's a great pick.
Really, really well.
But here's the thing, like I don't think Talkers play Echo. He was never. No,
I was talking here about Immortal.
Yeah.
He will have to play the Echo.
I don't think he does, but yeah, he will play
but I think he can pick it up or play something else that's
I think it's unlikely just because they didn't have much practice and they can't practice like 10 champions. So I think it's safer if he like sticks to his LeBlanc that he played for years, so he knows how to play it, and like Syndra, and they would be fine too.
He has a really good LeBlanc too. So
yeah, his LeBlanc is beast.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that bad for them to go with LeBlanc.
Yeah.
Although, if LeBlanc doesn't work here, they're gonna be in some.
Yeah, but if you are in position of Dark Passage, you have to take some risks. I don't think it would be a bad thing.
Yeah.
But in a way, if you think about it, right? So LeBlanc is a counter pick, right? Yeah. So it might be the fact that Dark Passage will just go down in the end and say, okay, let's everyone just pick your counter pick, right? Let's see how that works. And if it works really well, that would put a lot of pressure on INTZ when it comes to ban phase, right? What do you ban?
The thing is, Talkers should be still pretty comfortable on Sandra, so like they should have answers in case they decide like to play the.
True, but if you look at their game on Talia, they actually picked Talia on the first round, on red side.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think they will do the same in terms of the farms. I think they will have definitely other priorities in saving like a stronger bot lane matchup and getting Revolta a favorable jungle matchup.
Yep, Talkers is really low in terms of like the priority in the team. I think if they pick mid laner early, it's just because they it's not important for them for Talkers to have a good matchup, because even if he does, he's probably not gonna stomp.
Yeah, true, but if you get a champion that will just get stomped, because they can easily counter pick you, then you're not doing any good to the team, right?
Yep.
I mean, in that game they went for Talia so early in the draft phase, and then the other guy was like, "Yeah, thank you. It's exactly what we wanted."
But you know,
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing that can lose them the game to Dark Passage. I said that Dark Passage has to have a good mid lane counter pick. If Ints will be disrespectful enough to just pick like a easily counterable mid laner early, they can actually lose the game. And that's why I say like that Dark Passage needs to have a good counter pick in the mid lane. And INTZ, like obviously, if I said what Dark Passage has to do, what Ints has to do is they have to make sure that they don't pick it early enough to just get totally counter picked and just smash the mid lane. That would be a disaster for Ints, in my opinion.
Definitely, I think I can agree to that. Let's go over to the bot lane matchup, because we've seen sloppy performances from
both
bot lane and also from Dark Passage's one. I think most notable matchup would be the AD carry matchup. Even though like Mikko's not the god like AD carry, he's still one of the most consistent of Brazil. Like he's not the flashiest one, but he's definitely the most consistent one in terms of performance. While we have Zeitnot that has been really having like very, very, very good games and then a few very bad games. But overall, he's shown a bit more than Mikko in this tournament. And we have like the support matchup that kind of
I disagree with you. I disagree with you.
I don't agree too.
No, come on. I mean, look, I'm even looking at the stats now, okay?
Go.
And I'm looking at the stats, and I'm looking for... Okay, so Mikau has a 9 KDA. Zeitnot has a 2.6 KDA. Okay? When we talked about Immortoro and Talkers in the mid lane, it was fair because Immortoro only had like 3 games. So you can say, yeah, it's fine, right? And then we go to kill participation. And here we see Mikau with like 80.2%. Against 67.6 to Zeitnot, right? So that's huge. That's huge for an AD carry to have such low kill participation. I don't know what he's doing actually. Is he just split pushing all day?
So Hatchy, what can you tell us about Zeitnot?
I can tell you that Zeitnot that you saw so far on this tournament is like 50% of the Zeitnot that we know from the Turkish league, and this is not an overstatement. I think Zeitnot on his best is almost able to like challenge White Lotus performance on this tournament. Okay,
it's only 50%, right?
Yeah.
So that means that if he was 100%, he would have 5.2 KDA, which is still lower than 9 KDA, right?
Nice logic. I like it.
Hashtag.
So Hatchy, you just got wrecked, my friends.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the styles, because I think
this is something that is really important to talk about. Zeitnot is a tilt-heavy player, and there is a lot of like Zeitnot can get super tilted over the smallest fucking thing in the game. Okay, so like if you don't auto-attack Gromp enough times, or if you take one bad trade, like what the fuck are you doing, man? Like like I don't know how to say it in Turkish, but he's just gonna be like fuck this game.
And he's there with Rogu, right?
Yeah, and the case is he like the Rogu is making quite some mistakes, and if Rogu doesn't have the best game, it's very, very possible that Zeitnot will tilt. But Zeitnot also always stepped up in the big series, So
on the plus side, Rogu is used to a heavy tilt player.
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
But the case is, Rogu is like, I don't give a shit. But it doesn't change the fact that the AD carry still tilts, right? Yeah. The case is, if Zeitnot, like, in my eyes, I know Mikau at his best, I know Zeitnot at his best, and there is no doubt in my mind that at his best, Zeitnot is a better AD carry in general, better mechanically than Mikau is. So, for me, it's really about the kind of like mindset that Zeitnot will have when this game starts. Because if Zeitnot will just feel like, I actually I hate my team. I don't know what I'm doing here. I just want to eat kebab and go back to Turkey. Then they're done. But if he will be like, okay, let's do it, Rogu. I know you suck sometimes, but like I'm just gonna do my best anyways, and I'm just gonna win this game. Then I think we have the series on our hands, guys. Because Zeitnot in Dark Passage side. This is the biggest difference between what he can do and what he's doing. Okay, he can actually be amazing. He can actually carry the games. If they play bot side style, he's gonna be in a good mood. Zeitnot. Look at Zeitnot. I believe he's gonna show up. And I believe he's gonna do great. And if he does, he can challenge. Like they can wreck In's bot lane, in my opinion, just because of how good Zeitnot is. But there is a lot of tiny factors that need to go like align for him to play well. So that's a big gamble and that's a big question.
I mean, look, I think they do have kebab in Brazil too.
Nah, you
Just
don't-
get him
So
some
he
Brazilian
doesn't-
kebab,
Number
guys.
one
Yeah,
rule,
yeah.
you
He
don't
doesn't.
eat
He
kebab
doesn't
in
need to go
Brazil.
back to Turkey.
Number one rule, you don't eat kebab in Brazil because you don't know where the meat comes from. Number one
Well,
rule. You don't want to have...
Following that logic, you don't eat in Brazil because you
No.
don't know where it comes from.
No.
But-
It's sanitary reasonings. We don't need to speak about that. There's you don't even want to know.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Okay,
Uh,
I believe you. That's fine.
we
Don't have
had
to.
the Olympics there recently. Luckily, nobody died from food poisoning,
Well,
so I think
let's wait.
I mean, food poisoning is pretty fast, I'd say.
As far as I noticed, because I know the rioters that are going with the Dark Passage guys, they are eating like every day in the same place, which is like probably like American kitchen place, judging by the name. So I think they're not risking too much.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I'm not gonna say where it is because obviously somebody could just go there, but they're always eating in the same place. So I guess they like it, and I definitely don't think it's like a
Yeah.
traditional Brazilian.
Also,
food there.
normally, like from my experience, they have like a restaurant near the studios there, where they go like every day to go eat when it's studio day. So like it's all fine, but was more on the side.
But
So,
anyway,
let's
coming
focus-
back to
let's go
the
back to
matchup
the-
about lane.
to the bot
I
lane
sense
matchup.
it's like, every time we talk about a player and we say, it's the main thing is that he's a very tilt heavy player, or he's very emotional, which seems to be like a recurring trend for almost every player at this international wildcard qualifier. That's it. We've been talking about this for some time now. Okay, everybody can tilt for everything, but if Zeitnot can tilt for like the smallest thing that can go wrong, like not getting a CS or not getting the right amount of auto attacks on the grump, that's harsh, I'd say. That can just screw you over for the entire game. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. Hopefully we'll see some pretty good fights in the bot lane. Mikao, the guy is good, right? He's not the best AD carry there is, but the guy is good, and I think is at least as good as Zeitnot. And I don't know about the support matchup, because probably that would be even more interesting to see. How will they play the laning phase? How will they impact the lane?
I want to see the old Jogster, like a playmaker. In last 3 games, when they started to pick stuff up, he really defaults to Bard because it goes along like really well with what INTZ wants to do with setting up the bot lane plays. And Rogu can play Bard as well. So besides Shen, I would say the very high priority in this series is going to be onto Bard as well.
So,
I think we're
Can
gonna
I add
see.
something to that, because like
I know Rogu plays a good Bard. He's not
Yeah.
like Tumble Dodge level.
Yeah.
I think we have to take into account the fact that he's known for his Alistar, right? And even if Alistar is like a very underrated support champion right now, he can be viable.
so.
And I
thing.
know he plays a good Alistar.
So here's the thing. If you say like his signature champion is an Alistar, the same goes for Toggers. For Toggers, what I say.
We were talking about Jogster. We were talking about Jogster.
And
He's
he's famous for like 2 champions, his Bard and his Alistar. So basically, every team in Brazil will always first ban that Bard or pick it away usually, because like it's his best champion by far. And normally, if INTZ doesn't get the Bard, they usually get Alistar on him. That's why they like the finals. Basically, they played almost only Alistar, and if they don't get one of those, they will go then to something like Karma or some tanker champions. But the thing is that the high priority on INTZ has always been the Bard and the Alistar. That's why they sometimes even first pick it, even though like there would be far better options, because the Bard is very important, as you already mentioned, for the playstyle, but also it's like when Jogster plays him, he plays by far also better, like as an individual player. He performs always better on Bard than other champions. So it's a huge deal for them having this motivational boost for their support, and also him being so comfortable with the champion. So
Okay.
what do you think, like, this could be a very important factor, like that they drop priority bans to battle like support bans, or do you think like Dark Passage will even think about banning the Bard away, because that's really actually a huge deal for NTZ?
No, I think they will have to try to trade it with Shen. That's gonna be the case.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. It depends if they are willing to play the Shen, and that's
Yeah,
mostly
they
on
played it.
Elwind.
They played it in the tournament, and Elwind had a great performance on Shen too. So
Yeah, but that's the thing with players, right? And I don't know how much pressure Elwin has in the team, right, when it comes to champion select. So if he has a lot of pressure and says, I'm not feeling like playing Shen today, I want to play Fiora, then
he's gonna be fine. Elwind is a nice guy.
again, I don't know him, so I don't know exactly how he will behave. I'm just saying that I know a lot of players that act like that, right? Hopefully it won't be the case. But I think if Dark Passage get the Shen, I think they're fine giving the.
I will make this prediction, and I will ask Lelouch after the tournament if I was right or not. If they will play split pushing top laners, it means they got fucking shit on in scrims, because then there's like Elwin Senpai, please carry me. But if they will play Shen, it's gonna be probably meaning that they actually started to play well as a team. So
yeah.
That's a high that's high probably. So, do you have anything to add to this matchup?
no, I don't have anything to add to this game. I said so much. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, we talked a good while about.
You love Dark Passage. I can see.
no,
that.
I definitely don't. I love them because they are from Turkey, so I have to support them. But as soon as they come to Turkey, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, then they will get beat up, I guess. So if they lose, Hatchy's already there.
But I'm actually
that.
very sad you're not there, Hatchy.
I'm really sad.
I
not there
expected
too.
you to be there, man. Why do you disappoint me?
The biggest thing we missed is Dumbledore against Likrit, and I will never forgive myself not having
Yeah.
this matchup again.
Oh my God! Can you imagine Dumbledore's Bard against Liquid's brand?
Oh, this would
That
be
would
fun
be
as hell,
awesome.
man. Alright. So, okay, guys. Let's
man.
wrap it up. What are your predictions now before we go to the next semifinal?
And as I said, it's a 3-0 either way. So I would say 3-0 INTZ with the caveat that it might be 3-0 for Dark Passage.
Yeah, I would say 3-1 in the same manner. Like, whoever gets the momentum going is going to win. But in my eyes, it's slightly towards Inns. So I would say 3-1 Inns. But if INTZ loses the first game, it will be 3-1 Dark Passage.
Alright. So I'm gonna add to that and go for 3-1 INTZ. So,
Yep.
alright. Do you guys want to do a small break, or shall we just jump into it to the next match?
Oh, just keep going, keep rolling.
Keep going? That's
Yeah.
perfect. That's what I like about you guys. We don't need breaks. Who needs breaks? So,
Breaks are overrated.
yeah, overrated. So let's talk about the next matchup, which is Line Gaming against Albus Nox Luna. We already saw it yesterday in a, let's say, more troll version of the matchup, like not as serious, because Line Gaming didn't need actually to win. They didn't need any points. They were already locked in the first place, and it was more important for Albus Nox. Albus Nox got the win, so they are facing against each other.
It wasn't really important for Albus Nox either.
Yeah, well, it was important just for seeding, because if they lost the match and Dark Passage also lost the match, there would be a three-way tie with Chiefs.
Yeah.
Well,
in a way, I suspect that Lion kind of threw the game.
Yeah.
In a way.
I think Lion. I think Lion was.
Really wanted to face the Russians.
Yeah, I mean, I think they wanted to face the Russians. That's why they lost. I think they are happy to face them.
I think so too. Like,
Not really, because look, in the last day, let me be sure. Yeah, so the Lion versus Albus Nox was the first game, and the Dark Passage game was after that. Yeah, true that they were Dark Passage would have played Saigon Jokers, who was kind of a joke. at this tournament, but still, there
Okay,
was
well,
a chance.
it's irrelevant at this point, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
But anyway,
let's talk about a bit of the team styles. Who wants to start? Before I add the knowledge from a split
okay,
in Latin
I'm gonna
America
start
North.
this. I'm gonna start this one because it's my boy White Lotus. He's like the MVP of this tournament overall.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, like overall the roles, he's done exactly what I presumed he will do. This meta is his meta, right? Because he can lane, he doesn't need to worry himself with lane swaps and all that crap. He can be lane dominant. I think Arce is a pretty good support for him. I think they mesh well together. He has Audi by his side in the jungle, right? Who's like one of the best junglers.
Best jungler in this tournament, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if they ban the brand, they're fine. That's it. As far as I know, White Lotus, it doesn't really tilt. I mean, not heavy or anything like that. So I think he will do pretty fine in these games, even if they lose the first one. He has it in himself to come back into a game. He just treats every game like it's a new game, and that's it. Overall, Lion, I think they have a strong roster. I think they have 3 of the 5 best players in the tournament in my books. So they have Audi, they have Seiya, and they have White Lotus.
Agreed.
So they are coming in as favorites. Obviously, they're like the first seed into the whole thing. Let's see who wins. I will go with Lion. I don't think it will be easy. I think it will be a much more contested best of 5 than the other one. I don't see a 3-0 here. So it has the best chances to go 5 games. But I still think Lion can make it. I think they will be able to defeat Albus, Nula, Nox, Luna, whatever. Then their name is hard, man.
Yes, it sucks.
Yeah, it's like Hard Random was better, I feel, than Albus, Nox, Luna. But anyway.
I think both of them suck. Like, I don't know who's making these names.
But at least Hard Random is easier to say, right?
That's true.
And
it's some like anime porn, like name.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know that much about their players. Okay, I've seen Liquid. I think he's a pretty good support. Yeah, he does have that brand, and I think that's one of their strengths. The fact that people kind of have to ban it, so you kind of waste one of your bans, even if you're blue or red. So that they have that going for them. But otherwise, I don't feel that they're that strong in other lanes. They play well as a team. They're really coordinated, but nothing too special, I feel. And the key thing in these games will be how much advantage can either Seiya or White Lotus get in their specific lanes. And if they can get an advantage, they will just grow that advantage and they will just destroy the opposition.
All right, so let me add the line knowledge first before we go into Albus Nox, because I played like the whole split against them, and in terms of champion pools, everyone's fine. Like everyone plays every meta champion usually. In terms of even broader champion pools, Odi, Seiya, and White Lotus should be served. They played a lot of champions even though they weren't meta in the split and made it work, which was great to watch throughout the league. However, they really lack into macro play. They are they showed really good throughout the split, even better now in wildcards, playing laning phase, snowballing out of small advantages, and making great small decisions. But they were never good at rotating and playing the map. They are a bit better, at least, let's say, they do less mistakes on how they play the map, which is great, but they don't have much variety. they when it comes to macro game, they usually tend to do the same thing, like get two split pushers, set up a wave. So if the other doesn't have TP, you play a 1-4 setup, or you go 1-3-1, where support, AD carry, and jungle are mid, and they shove in, get vision, and try to do some pickoffs so they can end the game. So they have a very in terms of map play, they're very closed. They don't have much variety. I have to disagree with the White Lotus RC bot lane. This is the first time I'm seeing these guys do well in lane. The whole split, they struggle to get synergy. They struggle to work together because White Lotus would go aggressive, punish mistakes, and RC wouldn't know what to do. So RC was very.
There was a game like this at this Wildcat, yeah.
Yeah. So they got better, yes. But overall, like the split, the bot and the support and the jungle were fairly weak because Odie didn't find himself like as he is showing up right now in the wildcards, or he played past splits and gaming Galactic Gamers throughout the split, but he showed up at wildcards. So basically, the whole split was, yeah, we are line gaming, we don't tilt like everybody else in the region, and we will just hold on to the point where Seiya and White Lotus are so strong they can carry alone. And that was basically it. And then they would do it with small, smart decisions when to fight, and this would carry basically the game. Not like huge outplays throughout the map, no big rotational play. This was usually their weaknesses. For their luck, lane swaps the way it was on patch 6.13, 6.14 are gone. So they usually don't get behind anymore on early game, and they can abuse their strong laners at least. So basically, in terms of looking where you can abuse, was usually this rotational part. So you can try to counter gank easier because Odie will always go for plays on bot side. He will always go for a play bot side around 5 to 10 minutes. Depending on the matchup top lane, if he needs to get a gank before there to help his top laner, he will do that, and then just camp straight out bot lane, get the bot lane out, they rotate the bot lane, so they can just go from tower to tower to tower to tower. That's how.
So look, I'm going to be really biased here, but no, who needs macro play when you can get Matthias ahead, right? If you can get White Lotus ahead, who needs macro play, man? Who needs rotations?
Well, they struggled. They struggled a bit against it. I mean.
Yeah, true.
But to be honest, like.
They're so talented. They're so talented mechanically, right? And
yeah.
That's their style, okay?
Yeah,
That's
sure. But I mean, like, would they play against INTZ in the semifinals? They could lose just because of that.
Oh yeah, probably.
But
they're not.
Looking, even though like the match yesterday against Albus Nox was not the best to take in consideration, they hold on onto like laning phase for 20 minutes with Albus Nox like doing nothing, and why they had like a Yasuo and Kokma. So they
that's why I'm saying that the game from yesterday, I don't know. Somebody wrote on Twitter, that actually Lion deserve an Oscar for that game because they faked it really well. It seemed that way to me, really.
Yeah, can we just talk about Lion without including the last game when they played Yasuo?
I was more not really like to talk about
don't take it into consideration.
Lion, but I want to talk about Albus Nox, like for whatever reason not showing up against them.
Yeah, but
the small macro play they showed the whole tournament, and this was for me is still very bothering because it should have been easier because of the matchups they had in this game. If you understand my point.
I don't know why they didn't show up against INTZ.
No, not against
I think
yesterday.
Sorry?
I meant the game against Lion yesterday. Like, I mean, it should have been easier for them.
No, so the thing, I don't think so. I think Albus Nox was also they kind of wanted to win the game because in a way they didn't want to face probably INTZ, right? They were playing a lot more cautious than they would have usually done right? So if they would have been guaranteed like second seed, the game would have been a lot funner, for everyone. But this way, even if Lion played like a weird team comp, they knew they could win against that team comp, but they still had to take it easy, right? They still had to take it slow. I think they wanted to guarantee themselves that they will win that game. And that's it, But again, I don't think talking about that game or even considering that game is doing any good to anyone. Okay, so I feel we should just focus on how they looked except that game. I feel that Lion really looked dominant, Yeah, they don't have extraordinary macro strategy when it comes to playing the game, but on the other hand, they are good in securing advantages in lane, and they are good at translating those advantages, on the map. And I think that's a huge strength that they have there.
Definitely. But actually, what Albus Nox also had was actually not being able to get small advantages early, was more like holding on until 10-15 minutes and then start doing something. Usually, if someone went more aggressive in the early game, was actually the bot lane, was Liquid, basically.
Yeah.
The only guy that really would go for plays would be Liquid. Even though Stasios mostly played Rek'Sai and Gragas, he didn't gank too much. He would get ganks off on top and bot. Kiro would solo farm all games. I think I didn't see one game except for maybe one Malzahar gank where when he hit 6, they would abuse to power spike. But otherwise they mostly let him farm, farming champions so he could grow and just be strong later on in the game. And they would focus on getting maybe a top gank and then pressuring bot lane when they reach around 6.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing with them, I think they're pretty good at playing around their power spikes, and really abusing those power spikes. And it's nice to see something like that from a wildcard region team, right? And let's see how much, how does that style fare against a team that is good at taking advantages really early, right? I don't think it will be that great for Albus Nox Luna.
Okay, now I won't share my opinion because I didn't say anything about this matchup yet. A few days ago, in our last podcast, I said that Albus Nox Luna is stylistically has a good matchup against Lion, and now I'm gonna explain you why. Because White Lotus, Lion's success is really reliant on getting White Lotus ahead. Agreed? That's the case.
Yeah.
It's not a secret. And the case is, I absolutely think that the Arce guy or however you say it, he's just a bad player. And whenever White Lotus sees, the greatest thing about White Lotus, I said it last podcast, I will repeat it again, is that he has a perfect awareness of enemy cooldowns. And he will always go in because he knows when he has an opening, an enemy can't do anything to him, and he's just gonna smash the enemy. And there was at least 3 situations in just Lion and Chiefs game when I saw White Lotus fighting, and Arce be like, "What the fuck, man? Let's just go out." He's already 2 screens away, running. And when they could win 2v2s if he was just supporting White Lotus. So the Arce guy is doing pretty badly. He's not a very confident player in his skills. He doesn't know when to fight. He's not really taking the best out of White Lotus. Now, Albus Nox Luna, their biggest strength is Liquid, and the fact that Liquid doesn't give a shit. He just goes into your face, okay? Yeah. And the case is, Arce, I think, as a support, is going to have huge issues playing against Liquid, because Liquid will just decimate the guy. He will not think if he can go in. He will not think if he can go in. He will just go in. He will just go in your face all the time. You say that if they ban Brandt, they will be fine. I can promise you there is at least one more pick that he didn't play whole this tournament that I know that he practiced a lot of and he loves, that can do exactly what Brandt does and could decimate their bot lane 1v2 basically. So he still has a pocket pick ready that he didn't show, and he practiced a lot in scrims that I know about because we scrimmed against them, and he will go into your face, and White Lotus is not going to have as free lane, because some of the teams, they were hesitating more as to like whether they should fight or not. For example, Zaytnot and Rogu, they basically they still don't know how to play the lane together. They don't know if they want to fight or not. Nikao, like the INTZ bot lane, they also are like kind of like passive farming, waiting for team to come. So White Lotus and Arcee can actually get through the laning phase by just farming perfectly fine. The issue is that it's not going to be the case against Liquid, because Liquid is just going to fight you all the time. He's just going to go into you all the time. He's going to get aggressive trades. He's going to pick a champion that can 1v2 you because like of the damage potential and stuff. And it's not going to be easy for White Lotus to farm, to get fed, and to get strong into the mid game, because he's just going to pressure you so much. And for Albus Nox Luna, good matchup for Liquid, and getting Liquid ahead means that they will win as a team, because Liquid is the biggest carry of this team, okay? Miracle, in my opinion, is a bad AD carry, okay? So if we compare Lion, bot lane, Albus Nox Luna, bot lane. Lion, godlike ADC, bad support. Albus Nox Luna, godlike support, but bad ADC. But a Miracle plays with Liquid for so long already that he has learned that it doesn't matter what he wants to do, it doesn't matter what he thinks, everything that matters in this lane is what Liquid thinks. And if Liquid wants to fight, he's gonna fight. If Liquid wants to go back, he's gonna go back. He does, like Liquid, I mean, a Miracle's job in terms of decision making in the game is to do everything that Liquid wants to do. That's basically his whole job. Like, he doesn't have to think about anything else. So if Liquid says, we're gonna go in, then they go in. And because of that, the synergy, in my opinion, is way above between a Miracle and Liquid as compared to White Lotus and Arcee. And now this is very important to me, because I think that Lion is very reliant about playing around the bot lane, and playing around the bot lane is going to be difficult because the enemy bot lane will have a much better synergy, and the bot lane that tends to just pressure really hard throughout the game, like on the enemy duo. And even though Odi will try to get some ganks off, Stejos is very used to going to the bot lane, because Stejos knows that Kira will just play control mage in the mid lane and he will just not die. Like, Kira doesn't fuck up, that's the best thing about him. Smurf is not really a guy that like would hard carry the game. Smurf is just kind of there doing his job. Mid lane is there doing his job. Liquid wants to fight. Liquid needs resources. So Stejos is super confident going bot lane, and their bot lane, it's basically they are picking the AD carry that will suit Liquid in what he wants to do. If he wants this kind of champion, then Liquid will play a specific champion that can complement what Liquid wants to do more. So in my opinion, this is gonna be about the bot lane. All the resources is gonna be are going to be in the bot lane, and stylistically, because of the synergy, because of the play style, Liquid, in my opinion, has the upper hand. So even though I love Lion this tournament, and I think they showed up great, and they have 3 best players in the tournament, in my opinion, Odyssey, White Lotus, I agree with you, Exorant, I give the upper hand to Albus Nox Luna. On top of that, Albus Nox Luna has way more international experience. They played in the wildcard finals against us in the last tournament, and you know they just felt how bad it felt to lose a final like this when they were that close getting to.
Well, it's not a final though, right? It's semi-final.
Yeah, but this is for the qualification. Whoever wins this match is going to be qualified. So they know what's up. And all the signs that I've seen, like Albus Nox Luna hard random last split, was I saw a bunch of guys absolutely hating each other, like Liquid just going fucking mental and just flaming everyone like on stage, outside of the stage, not talking to each other, just going and like split up, never together. And this tournament, I see all the videos, all the pictures when they are just all together having fun, like just liking each other, complimenting each other in interviews. So I can see that this issue is fixed, which makes me think that they will not tilt as they did in the last tournament. So in my book, it's really clear cut.
Well, I don't think they tilted in the last tournament though.
They did.
I just think you were better than them.
In my eyes,
they tilted a bit. I think like yes, Supermassive was better.
Yeah.
But they didn't show up as good as they were the whole tournament.
Yep.
They tilted and they still beat INTZ, right? So.
Yeah, well,
but they didn't tilt in INTZ series. They still did after they lost game 1. There is still a gif somewhere in the internet when Liquid is just screaming like a madman in game on the broadcast on his team, like what the fuck they are doing, like just screaming for like 5 seconds like a madman about, you know, how angry he is. He doesn't do this shit anymore, and it was in the final on the stage. I don't think they do it like anymore, and I don't think like one loss would change much. They were strong enough mentally in the final of a Russian league to reverse sweep the team that was winning 2-0 against them. So they will not back off.
Yeah.
Their confidence will not be shaken. They know exactly how.
Yeah,
to be
that's why I'm even saying that this series has high potential of going 5 games.
Yes, but in my opinion,
subjective. I'm biased here, right?
yeah, but in my eyes, it can be a 5 games match. Definitely, Lion has all the tools, but it's going to be Albus Nox Luna win for all the reasons I stated earlier, and I give it like a 3-1 in my eyes for Albus Nox Luna.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring out a few things because I worked with some players there. I know some players, and I played against I played both regions a lot, Tom. One thing is, we don't know if Lion's ready for a best of 5 series because the whole year nobody contested Lion Gaming. Nobody. In the international leagues. Nobody was close to their level. Like, in spring, Audi was the only factor that brought them trouble. Audi's not in Lion Gaming. This split, even though like teams got some early game advantages against them, nobody could take a game off them. Nobody. So basically, in terms of series, I don't know if Lion's ready for a best of 5. Like best of 3, they would definitely be ready. Like the support stuff is showing up really great, but in terms of preparation for a best of 5, we don't know it because they never had to show anything else than they played from the finals to the end of this tournament's group phase. So we didn't see basically what they prepared. And they could have prepared a lot of things because they showed in the finals some creativity to bring picks into the meta that are now meta that nobody played at their time. So I think that there's a lot of room. But as you mentioned, it will come a lot to the bot lane matchup. And here's one thing that I think is worth mentioning about. What a lot of people don't know, in this bot lane, who has the call, who does the calls is actually White Lotus. And that's, for me and Dano, is still very weird to understand because White Lotus is normally this quiet guy who would just play. You say what he has to do, he will just do it. But the last time I worked with him, right before the Last Kings against Isurus finals early in Spring Split, he started to understand that he has to be vocal. And apparently he has been starting to get more vocal in the team comms. I don't know how much because I didn't talk with them about that since I played against them. So there's a few differences, and I think like in terms of from the player I started coaching last year in KLG, White Lotus is a much matured player that I think can hold the stress. Say I can hold the stress, and I think Odi can too.
It's not only that. I think, in this game, the most important matchup would be between White Lotus and Liquid, right? Yeah. So who's getting the upper hand? Is it White Lotus or Liquid, right? Because as you said, the White Lotus's support, he isn't that great. Liquid's AD carry isn't that great. But we have to remember that the one that deals the damage is the AD carry, right?
Oh, unless you talk about Liquid, man.
Yeah, unless you talk about Liquid, but if he doesn't play champions like Brand, or let's say even Bard, or that special pick you are talking about, I don't know. I feel White Lotus, mechanically speaking, is a lot better than Liquid, and I think he can just destroy him mechanically.
Like the difference.
It's just that.
I will tell you one thing about the EU scene. About all the Europeans team that I talked to that scream against hard random, nobody is ready for the shit that Liquid does because nobody plays against a player with this playstyle. It's going to be surprising as fuck.
When I was with Beşiktaş, we screamed them, and the first day we screamed them, he picked out the Brand. It was like, the fuck, who plays Brand, right? And obviously he destroyed us in 2 games, and I was like, yeah, so tomorrow we have to ban the Brand. Then we banned the Brand and we beat them, right? After we banned the Brand.
The case with Liquid, his Bard is insane as well. And there is this one pick that I'm talking about. Guys, it's not... I mean, it will come down to White Lotus being able to adapt to it, but I guarantee you this one thing, that White Lotus didn't play in his life in a competitive game against a player with the playstyle like Liquid.
Yeah, I'm sure
and
about
it's tough, and it's always really, really rough for a new to play against this playstyle in a competitive game for the first time. It's really rough.
You know, the only thing is what makes the whole thing interesting is that White Lotus is at least used to play with a worse support in lane in the game.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
White Lotus in his whole career, he never had a good support in lane. So the funny thing is, in Lost Kings, he had probably the best support in his whole region, and he was still freaking bad in lane. And
and he never played against someone who's as good in lane as Liquid is.
that's the thing. So that's gonna be a highlight. I think
it will be interesting.
It will be
that's the
definitely
thing,
interesting.
it will be fun. I will be watching that game. I will be stockpiling on popcorn and
I agree.
and whiskey, and I'm just gonna enjoy myself. It's gonna be fun.
It's
gonna be fun because, as you said,
Liquid.
Liquid is fine, right? Liquid is he's a smart guy. He has these weird picks. He's obviously a very talented player. He knows how to do it. On the other hand, I know White Lotus is also a very talented player, a very smart guy. So it will be like the clash of these two great players. I would love to see them play.
But the thing is, we don't know what else the line prepared, because one thing that they brought out multiple times, and I know that Matthias plays. Really
remember not to give out information that shouldn't be.
No, I don't have any information from them, so I can't give anything out.
Okay.
So the thing is that I'm asking myself, will they let White Lotus play a hyper carry? Because last year when we beat Hard Random, we played the famous protected White Lotus comp. Basically, we would they brought out one time this comp. It was the Gragas and Janna one. Basically, we're just gonna have two things that reset fights. Would they bring it out against Hard Random with something like a Tristana that I think could even work in this meta?
Holy shit! If you pick Tristana into Liquid, holy shit, it's over, man. It's over. Just FF already.
Yeah. No, I don't think they will. I think they will stick to what they've been playing. He has a pretty good champion pool. I hope he doesn't bring his Lucian, though. I hope to see something better than Lucian in the bot lane. But who knows?
I mean, Lucian is fine in the end. In terms of if you don't play Sivir, Ashe, or Jhin, you have two options probably right now, and this is Lucian and Ezreal.
Yeah.
And so it's. I think even putting him on Ezreal wouldn't be that bad of an idea.
I agree. I think White Lotus shouldn't try to win the lane. He should try to survive the lane, just survive the lane, and then be relevant later on in the game. That's a good strategy for Lion, as to what they have to do. I mean, if they put two, go ahead.
White Lotus doesn't need to carry in this team. That's the good thing about it. In terms of Hard Random. Albus Nox. They have two players that actually can carry this game.
Yeah,
Kira and Liquid. The thing is, Kira will have a difficult opponent to snowball from, because Seiya didn't lose a lane right now in this tournament.
I mean, he did okay. We were supposed to not talk about yesterday, but he did fine.
Yeah, I mean, even though he played this weird matchup, he did okay. I would say. I think Kira could have...
No, but we're not talking about yesterday's match, okay?
Yeah.
I still think Seiya is a bit better than Kira. I mean, Kira is good too, but I think Seiya is better than him. And in this line team, White Lotus is probably the main carry for the team, but Seiya can also just pick it up and, just roll over with the game. So it's not only the bottom lane for Lion. I mean, it's also the mid lane.
The secondary carry, besides Kira being this late game powerhouse for Albus Nox, they have Smurf. Usually they would get Smurf ahead, and while Jiro would be yo, you're the guy that plays what the team needs for Lion. So I think if Albus Nox wants to win, they should first give the pressure to Liquid, do his thing on the bot lane, but also give a small lead to Smurf, because Smurf is a more carry-oriented player than Jiro. Jiro can play both, but most of the times he will have to play the tank, like a Shen. He played basically the whole split Shen. So, like, Lion has a huge priority on Shen. They didn't show it so far in the tournament, but in terms of the whole split, like, Shen wasn't even meta and they would still sometimes bring it out. And, like, this guy was always, like, the Shen Irelia player. So if there are two things he's comfortable on, is, like, Shen and Irelia. So, Irelia, he probably won't bring it up, since Smurf would probably only play Echo this series. And I really doubt like they play on top side, because the top side from Albus is much stronger. But here's the thing: we have to take into account for every lane matchup, how well can Stejos do against OD? Because in terms of the whole pathing, the whole pressuring, the whole vision control, OD was in the whole tournament much better.
Well, Adi is obviously the better player right here, but Stejos is good too, and yeah, I don't know what to say. It depends where they go first, right? So if they go into the bot lane, yeah, there would be, you know, how Liquid does. You know, I think it's more on Liquid making the huge plays, the big plays that win them the fight. And if they meet like in a 3v3, I have to give the advantage to Lion, you know, because they will have like two incredibly skilled players in that 3v3, while Albus Nox Luna will only have like one really good player, right? Again,
the case with like the characteristics of Albus Nox Luna in Russia in the regular season, they didn't actually lose games.
Yeah.
And the case is they were plenty of times really behind from the early game, and they always found a way to come back. They are used to play a very long games when they are behind, and they will still find a way to come back. So even if this early game will go slightly in their favor,
I mean, look in this tournament, right? It's not like Lion just in every game they were ahead at 5 minutes, at 10 minutes, right? There were games where they were behind. No, not by much, right? They weren't behind like 5-6K, but they were behind like 2-3K, and they still stay strong. I do think they have it in themselves to win this.
I think the thing is, for me, we can't overlook the like experience factor that Albus Nox Luna has. And they played against better teams in scrims, better teams in the league, and they played more international events. And Stejos played against very good junglers before. He played against them every day in EU, you know. And it's not gonna be like Odi just gives him a dick and then the Stejos doesn't exist, you know. He will probably, if he will see that he struggles, he will probably shift a little bit more into like farming style, but he's still gonna be relevant later on. The case is Miracle and Stejos, they will do what the team needs. They are the role players, and I don't think they will get that outplayed, you know. Like, even if OD is better, and trust me, I'm on the OD hype train, I'm hyping him up whole the tournament, I still don't think that like he will just get like, I don't think it's going to be like a relevant difference. Stejos knows how to stay relevant, even if his enemy is better. He's used to it.
Alright, so did we forget anything? Oh yeah, actually, about teamfights late game, I think this could be something that we forgot actually to talk about in the INTZ matchup, and I think it's even more important here, because Lion...
There is no late game for Dark Passage. It's over, guys. Ints will win every late game. Like, the game can't go late. That's what Ints want. That's simple.
Basically the same should go for Lion this series, because if Lion has a focus, it is always the mid game. The whole split, they always played strong in the mid game, and late game they would most like I would say 70% of the wins I will give it to them because they kept cool, and everyone else in the region tilted around 30 and 40 minutes Baron fights. But I don't think this will happen with Albus Nox because they play more oriented on this late game team fights.
Yeah,
I agree.
probably.
Late game will go just because of the experience to Albus or Nox Luna. Same as Dark Passage against Ints. It will not because Dark Passage is bad or anything, it's just because Ints is just so used to play the late game scenarios. They've seen it thousands of times. That's why I love Lion, guys, this tournament. I really do. But there is so many factors that just tell me that we have to give the upper hand to Albus Nox Luna. But the dream is alive. Lion
Look,
totally
I
has
mean,
what it takes. And I think it's a
you know,
50-50.
Hatchy, my brain is in full agreement with you, what you're saying. No, but my heart still says like, lion, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm hoping. You know, I really think the guys can make it, and that this would be huge, right?
Yeah.
Having
Yeah.
for the first time a team from Latin America representing the region at the World Championship. I would love to see that. You know, I would love to see like this brand new region that's finally making it into Worlds. Let's hope it will be. You know, man, the Russians would be there for the first time too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Either way, we get a
have
beautiful
something
story.
new.
Either way, we get a beautiful story.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
actually, in terms of storyline, this is by far the best wild card. Let's be honest. We get to see Brazil
fun.
against Turkey the second time, but
I
this
think
time
this
in
format-
Brazil. We get to see
Look, this
maybe the
format that
first
they're having now-
Russian or the first Latin American team go into Worlds, and in either way, whatever teams goes through, we have definitely one of the best talent stacked rosters
Yeah.
for wildcard
Oh, but-
so far.
I wanted to talk about a thing. You know, I like the fact that they actually made a tournament where every wildcard region comes together.
Yeah.
You know, instead of having that shit they had, you know,
Last year.
in the
Last
past, last year and 2 years ago and so on, was awful. What I would love to see is not having this crap with, you know, like two teams having a best of fives and the winners going to Worlds. Let's have a freaking final with the double
Yeah.
elimination and all that.
Yes.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yes.
A lot more spectacle for everyone. You know, it's not just like you lose the game, you're out.
Yeah.
You know, you still have a chance. I would love to see that for next year. I think that would be a much, much better format for the whole thing. And also ensuring that you actually get the best team,
Yeah.
right? Because, look, for example, Ints, there might be the chance that Ints just, you know, have a really bad day.
Yeah, but they are still the best team this tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but that's the thing, right? So they might have a really bad day and not make it.
You know,
Right?
Yep, that's
I think,
stupid,
I
I
think
agree.
this is even a better idea than having actually a finals, because like this time we don't have even a finals, because like we
Yeah,
have like the two semi-finals. We can also call it the two finals, because like everything sounds really weird because we don't have a grand final, but like it would be an option, like have two semi-finals and then it goes to winners finals to losers finals, basically. I think this is a
I
great
think that's
format.
insanely stupid that there is no final, and I think it's really stupid that if this format exists, that there is no double elimination, like you said.
Yeah, I mean the double elimination would just fix so many things, and we would have more games, more show, more entertainment for everyone. You
And
know,
it would
we
be
would
more
see a lot of
hype.
matchups.
And
I would
even
love to see-
better storyline maybe
Yeah.
when Brazil gets wrecked by Turkey, but then they come back and wreck Turkey in the end. Oh,
exactly, but I would love to see, for example, Lion against Dark Passage. You know, in the best.
yes, I would love to see this
Also,
matchup.
yeah.
Right? I can't because the format is shitty. So yeah, that's it. You know?
Yeah,
we'll have to live.
That's definitely
with that.
something that we can do for next year, actually.
No, that's definitely
Well, no.
something that we won't do. It's probably
we
not
surely
gonna happen.
won't. It's up to Riot.
We can cry about it and say how cool it would be.
Yeah, I mean, we can sign a petition with every team owner to do so, and maybe we get a chance and do the wildcard forever hashtag.
Puppet,
That's why I love you, man. You're a dreamer, you know.
Yeah, Puppet, you didn't really work with Riot enough in your life. I feel like.
I did. I just want to change the
Not-
world
not-
and still
not
be
enough,
positive
apparently.
and happy. And you can't take away my dream.
You know what Riot Turkey does right now? We are talking to Riot Turkey and they are basically telling us, we know our rules are completely retarded, but we can't do anything. Maybe next year. So, you know,
That's a good thing.
Hey, at least they're honest.
yeah, they are honest. I can give them that.
You know, certain other regions that I worked with before, which I don't want to say the names, they just straight out closed their eyes and said we can do anything. And others, one other region which I always praise, like Riot Labs was the best Riot I worked with, because every time I asked them for anything, they would be there and let me see what I can do for you, and they always did something great. So far I had very, very, very different experiences, but whatever. We're not here to talk about Riot games. This is something for another podcast.
I think we can ramp it up slowly. I think we talked a lot about both.
I think so too. And then we can just answer some questions, because the chat is crazy, man. But
it's full of Turkish people. Obviously, it's crazy.
And now Latam joined, so we're even. I think now. I think all the
no harm
Turkish guys are
intended,
at
guys,
Hatchy stream now. But so what are your predictions for this matchup? I want numbers.
So I said 3-0 for either INTZ or Dark Passage. I'm sticking with that, and I say a 3-2 for Lion. I'm keeping the dream alive, guys.
For me, 3-1 for whoever wins the first game in against Dark Passage, and 3-1 for Albus Nox Luna against Lion.
Alright, I said 3-1 INTZ, and simply because I'm biased White Lotus fanboy, I have to say 3-1 Lion. But,
that's the way.
I will be so happy to be the only guy right on this desk.
Yeah, I mean...
Man, I would love it either way. I would love to see Liquid 2 at the World Championship. You know?
Imagine him
that
playing fucking Brand against like SKT bot lane. Holy shit.
That would be too. As I was saying, I love the guy, you know, the guy is really good, you know? So I think whichever team wins in this match, it's good either way. But I would love to see Lion more, just because I would love to see White Lotus finally making to the World Championship.
Yeah, it's the same for me. Like, actually, I'm hyped for. I really want to see Doublelift against White Lotus and OD against any other good jungler. This would be actually really fun. The same goes for actually Revolta and Liquid. So, yeah, so, guys.
So I guess you don't want to see Dark Passage at Worlds. Is that what you're saying, guys?
No, I want Supermassive.
So far, nobody.
I want Supermassive.
I wanted Supermassive too.
But
sorry, guys.
Supermassive is here with us in this podcast and not playing right now.
I will be like Riot Turkey. We know we fucked up, but maybe next year.
No, I mean, look. You're the new Doublelift. You know, you're on caster desk at Worlds.
Yes, look, my caster desk. Oh, that's true. We fucked up, but next year is gonna be better.
Don't worry, Hatchy. We will be here rooting for you. Don't worry. And we want.
Imagine we had Supermassive INTZ now. Oh.
This would be fun, actually. This would be.
We wouldn't have this conversation then.
Yes.
So
that would be a loss.
Yeah. So we would have to invite Lelouch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So guys, I took some questions out of the chat. Guys, if you still have some questions, make sure to tag me on the chat or on Twitter so I can read them, and I'm gonna add them if they fit or we didn't answer them already. So we have a few questions. First one goes to Hatchy. Hatchy, we said in the first podcast, but for those that didn't watch, what do you think about Immorturu as a player?
Immorturu is a very talented guy. I was afraid that he's gonna choke. He did choke in the first game, but it looks like he played with less pressure in the remaining games. He's not afraid to take risks, and he wants to be a carry, so that works out well for Dark Passage. I think it was a good change, and I definitely think he has what it takes to hurt Ints really badly.
Yeah, I think the same way. I feel he's very, very talented. He is probably the best mid laner in Turkey right now.
Yeah.
He has it in him to just carry games. He just has to make sure he doesn't take back trades in the early game. You know, play a bit smarter, and I think he can destroy people in the mid lane.
So, what we have also here? Here's an interesting question. Let's forget everything we've seen and think about the day before wildcard started, if we would have to name the most talented players coming into this tournament before it started, who would it be, like your roster of the most talented players in the tournament coming into the wildcard?
Okay, I can start. My picks would be top lane Young, jungle Revolta, mid lane. Mid lane is hard actually. I think all the mid laners are kind of shitty. I mean, I thought like this, and yeah, I don't know mid lane. Kira, I guess. ADC, I would have said Zeitnot, and support I would have said Liquid, but it's only because I didn't have any idea about Lion. And coach Abaxial, of course.
Yeah. I would have said Young for the top lane. I would have probably said Kirei as jungle. I would have said Seiya or Kira as mid lane. White Lotus, obviously, because I knew about him. And same, Liquid, I think, for... although I would have probably put like Rogu, you know, there.
Just that
I would have
mentioned for the good old times.
I would have thought about him, you know, because he is good.
He's a good guy, maybe, yes.
Yeah. But I think Liquid is obviously, even before the tournament started, you know, a lot of people knew that he's really good.
Okay, so my opinion would be also Young.
And obviously Abaxial as coach.
I think we all can agree, like, the most talented coach right now in this tournament is Abaxial. Like...
Yeah, since I'm not there, I have to agree.
Since we are all not there.
I would have picked Abaxial even if you were there. Sorry.
No way. Oh.
Okay,
sorry.
So let's...
I like his hairstyle more.
oh. Now we're fighting about hairstyles. Okay, so I lost. GG.
Yeah, who would vote for Puppet? Is there anyone in chat even? I don't know.
I hope so. So. If not, they are all banned from this channel. Kappa.
Maybe if his mother is on chat.
All right, so let me get to my roster. I would also have said Young, Revolta, because even though I knew Audi, but he didn't play the split as good as he's playing the wildcard right now, so I wasn't expecting him to show up that big time. I was expecting good things from him, but not to be even better than Revolta.
But that's true for every lane, right? I mean, we didn't know about Elwin and how good he is before that. So.
I mean, to be honest, by the way, Elwin's story is funny to me. In my opinion, right now, he's the best top laner in the tournament, easily. But he plays at like 200% of what I expected from him, because honestly I expected him to get completely shit on, because he's actually in my eyes the weakest link of Dark Passage, at least after the finals. So I'm amazingly impressed and surprised, and I don't know what's happening, because the guy wasn't good, but he's still having an amazing tournament.
Yeah.
So basically,
okay, so go on.
The thing about the other regions that I want to say before I close out the roster is I watched some games, but the few games that I watched from the finals, even though like Dark Passage won, I didn't think they were individually better players than Supermassive's roster, for an example. So I didn't think like they would show up as the three Turkish guys would be like, let's say, that's good. I expected a bit worse performances.
I mean, our TBF final was just Xerxes and Cap's show.
Yeah, so and like from Japan, I didn't see anyone from them like really showing up. Anyways, also is also the same thing, and I was expecting a lot from the line roster. That's why I say my bot lane is Liquid and White Lotus, because like they had individual good players, but they didn't have like the team game yet, and that's basically what we've seen. And they even improved all their aspects. So that's why also I think people are not used to play against them. And they had a bit of luck with the meta, I would say also, that where they could benefit a lot from, and so I think like also coach is Abaxial, and overall like a lot of players showed up, that we didn't that I think like I expected much less, which is in my opinion better. Like it's great to see more talent showing up, more people showing up. Even actually Chiefs performed far better than I expected them to play, because like every year I don't expect much from them coming in, because like OC finals is always the same thing for the last year or two, and they like Spook showed up a much better play than I expected, and I was actually happy to see more from that. So let's see what we have else.
Brings the questions.
Okay, interesting question here from Free Convict. Also again to you, Hatchy. Since you mentioned that you like Young a lot, or at least you think he's a good player, how would you see if you had, instead of Tal'Darim and Thought Fabulous, Young in your team? Or if you want him in your team?
I mean, I don't necessarily feel like I need to change my players for Young, but I think they are all on like a very equal, even in a very high level. So honestly, I think Fabulous would do fine, like alongside Tal'Darim against every wildcard top laner in this tournament. But the only one that really would be like a even matchup, like that can go either way, would be Young. So.
Alright.
That's all.
Okay, so yeah, let's talk about Audi, because since the whole Latam crew joins, they are asking what we think about Audi, and so did you like from? Let's start with you, Daniel, because you scouted them, I think, a bit, or at least followed a bit more the scene than Hatchy. How did you think about Audi like the whole time and coming into this tournament?
Well, I'm actually really impressed by the way he progressed. He improved so much. Like 1 year ago, he was trash.
Yeah.
He was so bad. And I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if it's the coaching or just him realizing that he needs to put in more work to improve. But I like what I'm seeing. I like the fact that he actually is like not even comparable with the player that I saw the first time.
Yes, I agree.
He's so much better than when he actually tried out for a team in NA a while ago, and he was absolutely crap.
He passed. That's the thing. He decided to go to Lion and not to go to his NA team, and everybody can also know the name. It was Apex. Apex Challenger.
No, it was another team before that. That's what I'm saying. So
that?
yeah,
Okay.
it was before that. Yeah, I don't know. He's a changed man. He's a changed player. He's something that I haven't seen when I first saw him, and I like it. I like to see players actually putting in a lot of effort and trying to make it big. And now he has his chance. And I think even if they don't make it now, if they stick with this team, maybe make like one change, let's say if they can get a better support player, they could actually make it towards next year, with this lineup.
I would love to play against Lion. That would be so fun.
Yeah.
So,
But I think meta benefits them, and I don't know how well would they do if the lane swap were present.
Yeah, obviously this is something that's important.
Like I said, even I almost beat them just because of the lane swap, because like they didn't even know how to react to the lane swap properly. They were really weak.
Just obviously the meta is a big factor, and the fact that the the lane swap changes came just before like playoffs and now the wildcard tournament is a huge thing for them, right? It helps them a lot. Still, even with the changes, it doesn't change the fact that this team as a whole is a very talented team.
Yeah, that's true.
Even if they don't make it now, right? Let's say if they make it now, I think that the fact that they're playing on this patch has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like if they make it to Worlds, it's like 50% just the fact that they were playing on this kind of meta where there's no lane swaps. But as a caveat, I still have to say that even if the lane swaps would still be a thing, they would do well at this tournament. They wouldn't be like last place team, and they would still have the chance of sticking together and make it to Worlds next year, which they still do even if they don't make it now.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like about Odi, when I think on 2014 line, before he joined, and I have to say, like in 2014, the best player junglers from LAN were Tiak and Liquid Diego, and Liquid Diego now is not even close to the level Odi's playing right now. And Odi started improving really well in 2015. Like I thought he was a very, very good jungler, and he got even offers from Brazil, from NA, LAS. Everybody wanted Odi because he showed up better than Holistito. And after by the end of 2015, early 2016, before the rosters were closed, and everybody wanted him because he was by far the best jungler. He stayed about in gaming, and like they were the factor that like Lion had to improve, which was a good thing because he was almost carrying alone against Lion Gaming, that were by far the best team. Nothing against my old teammates, but individually, the players from Galactic Gamers, the last 2 years were individually below the ones from Lion. But still, like, Odi was this high hope factor, and the fact that he got picked up with the other guy that from Latam that is like the huge deal, White Lotus, and create like basically this Latam super team, is what is also making him great, even better, because he has now someone that he can rely on. He's not the only carrying factor on the team anymore that he was on gaming and Galactic Gamers before. So he has like two guys he can set up ahead, and I don't think like the split was easy because they struggled a lot in the split, because they had like 4 players that were always used to be carry players: Giral, Odi, Seiya, and White Lotus. Everyone was there that joined this team were carries before, so I think they had a huge hard time adjusting resourcing, like who gets resources in the game and adjusting things like that. So I think I have to give them a lot of props for this split as well, because they were shaky at the start, but the finals were like how they worked to the finals, and they got every game cleaner to the point like that they were out of competition in Mexico.
Yep, and obviously they are doing a great job. So good job, Odi. Good job, Odi.
Yeah.
I think that's all we have time for today, guys.
Yeah, I think we can close it out now. So
it's been a nice evening, I'd say.
Yep, it was a really nice evening, and I'm happy to be here again. So my predictions is obviously Albus, Nox, Luna, and Eanes going out. Your prediction is Lion and Eanes going out. Let's see. Yep. Let's see who's right.
Let's see.
Yeah. So
I hope we're all right on the INTZ thing, though.
Well, let's be really hoping for that. So guys, I want to thank you both for participating, and also a huge thanks to you, Daniel, for coming into when Sharks couldn't.
I agree. It's really great to have you here. Very good insight. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Well,
and thanks to the guys that joined us on Twitch.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, Twitch chat.
So,
which is not something I'm saying very often.
Amigos de Latam. I don't know how to say it in Turkish as well, so you have to say it in Turkish, Hatchy.
No, I am not Turkish. I'm Polish, man. I don't speak Turkish.
Man. Come on.
Ooh, okay.
Start speaking Turkish.
Yeah, well,
it's only like chai, chorba, things like that, you know.
No, I don't even know anything. Okay.
I can say Eyvallah abiler. That's the best I can do for you guys.
Okay, that's cool.
So I hope you're fine with that. So do I have any shoutouts left? You both?
Nope. I'm good.
Shoutouts to my team.
Okay, great.
And shoutouts to my team, and yeah, that's all.
So shoutouts to everyone that joined us, and thank you so much for participating. For those that just tuned in now, don't worry, there will be a VOD soon, later this evening, on my YouTube channel. I'm gonna send you the link here in the description, and be sure to also check this guy's Twitters. I'm also linking in the chat. They are all great people. They are good coaches and really funny guys sometimes. And so it's definitely worth checking out their Twitters. So again, thank you very much for tuning in. I guess we will see you on the next podcast or on the next stream. So bye bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.